What I found was when I went to put the PTO on, I discovered, basically because of the new design and the radial bearing within the PTO, it didn't want to set onto the motor as easy as I remembered it did 7 years ago. So I called and spoke to one of the technicians, and what it is the PTO, has a radial bearing pressed down inside, and you can see that in the cutaway view in their manual, right there at 4E. It points toward a radial bearing. So what happens is the PTO stops as you slide everything on. PTO stops short, just about a quarter of an inch, roundabouts. So spoke to one of the technicians, and he said that the new design, they had to pick a motor to set the radial bearing at, and it's designed around the Honda GX390. So the Harbor Freight horizontal shaft is slightly longer than your GX390. So what you do is go ahead and set your shaft on there, set your Allen screws in there hand tight with medium Loctite, and then you'll take your PTO and slide that on after you've taken off the where is it now? After you've taken off the spleen coupler, you'll slide your PTO on. Then you'll take a block of wood and a hammer, and gently tap until it gets, just right at the motor. And then once you get, it'll be close. It'll probably have paper's width left once you're done hammering. So you'll take your screws, and in an X pattern, you'll go ahead and tighten that down. But don't be alarmed when you find that, if you go to order the medium kit and you're using a Harbor Freight motor. And whatever shaft on Harbor Freight or other motors that are listed at the website that you can use may also be slightly longer. So in any application, whether it be small, medium, or large, you're just going to have to tap the PTO down to where it's right at the motor, and then your screws will finish it up. I got the carburetor adapter in for the racing carb I'm putting on from NR Racing, and that's what it looks like. Remembered I said when you do that, when you order it from NR Racing, to remember to get the kit that has the adapter and the choke hold down. Well, I said that because I didn't remember, so now I have 2 air filters, and how cool is that, right? So now this is your adapter, like a miniature velocity stack. It'll go right on your carburetor, and the hose clamp goes on, just right onto the adapter, and that's how that works. I mentioned this one here is for the a breather. That doesn't come from NR Racing. It's just your local auto parts store. So now what I'll do is go ahead and finish this up. I'll put the PTO on, I'll put the shaft on, the exhaust, and I'll be back later. Adios. So we have the housing on, and when I went to put that on, I wasn't able to get, the housing was falling short of getting all the way to the motor, and I called SPS and talked to the technicians, because I didn't remember that when I made the first one 7 years ago. And because of the improvement of the radial bearing, they had to pick a motor as a standard to go by as to where to set that radial bearing, and they chose the GX390 Honda because the horizontal shaft is slightly shorter than your Harbor Freight models. So it was better to choose that, and it's nothing to readjust. You simply follow your instructions and put that shaft on properly, and then you just once again following your instructions, get the right amount of grease within the PTO, and then slide that up on there, take a block of wood and gently tap, just slightly tap, and it will slide your radial bearing out as your PTO is getting close to the engine, and then you can only get so far, and it'll when you tap it, it'll want to bounce back. You'll see. Just take a block of wood and slightly tap till you get very, very close, and then take your bolts to do the rest of it. And then once again, within the manual, that'll tell you to tighten your screws or bolts down in an X pattern to get that even pull. Now, so that's basically it. The header's on. These headers, the brackets, they have an angle already pre-bent into it, but you may find that you'll have to adjust your bracket for your setup. I mean, that's what I did, and even the one I built 7 years ago, that medium kit was the same way. I had to adjust the bracket a little bit, so that's not a big deal. That's normal. What we're going to do today is put the carburetor on, and just like anything else that I start mechanicking on, there's always extra parts, so we'll get rid of all this extra parts, EPA stuff. Yeah, I'm a mechanic. I have a pipe wrench and some mechanics wire and a sledgehammer, so we'll get that done real quick. Okay, well, the carburetor's on, and there's really not much to it. Hopefully the lighting's okay. Like I said, when you order that open air cleaner for that new carburetor from NR Racing, you make sure that you get the has the adapter. It's a small velocity stack, so it'll say either a velocity stack or adapter. It'll say one or both, and it has the hold down bracket for the choke, and it just bolts into the back of the adapter, and it's a nice little setup. So I've already fired it up, and I was going to head down to the St. John's to get a little fishing in and get a little of that on camera, but I turned around. It's too late. I'll get a really early start in the morning, and we'll get some footage of the first day out there. So I'd fire it up now, but I've already done it a couple times, and you don't want to run these things, you don't want to run that prop dry. If you do it when you're working on it around the house, what I do is I cinch it down to a stool or on something to keep it elevated to the same level I'm working, but I'll cinch it down and bind it down and rig it up to where I'll either rig it up so the hose is always shooting at it, or I'll have someone hold the hose for me while I'm working on the motor. You just don't want to run that dry. The heat will burn up those bushings. So other than that, I can't think of anything really else to talk about right now. It's done. It's a really simple deal, and that extra part I talked about is still there. I need to take that off. So yeah, that's it. Adios.